Hello everyone, welcome back to another weather video. Today I'll be taking a look at our sea surface temperatures anomalies across the Pacific, specifically in two regions here, right here by the Enzo region and by Russia, Canada, and Alaska here in the northern Pacific. I started looking back at recent winters that had this type of setup, and I really couldn't find anything that struck similar or almost exactly alike until I got to one year that you will find out very soon. Things I was looking for was a warm northern Pacific, a central or western based La Nina, because as you can see here, the eastern part is actually kind of warm compared to the past couple days here. If I were to translate back to early September, you could see it was much colder in the eastern part of this Enzo off of South America. But if you go to now, September 23rd, you can see that has really warmed up here in the last couple days. But I have finally found a winter that looks very similar to this, at least in the sea surface temperatures anomaly map. On your screen here is our temperatures of our La Nina overall. As you can see here, as of mid-month and recently, it has been getting a little bit warmer, trying to go back down into the colder temps for maybe below a -1 degree. But as you can see, as I just showed you, it has been getting sheared off by warmer water, and it hasn't been looking healthy at all. I wouldn't be surprised if this thing starts to just go back up towards that's a horrible arrow, but I wouldn't be surprised if this thing starts to head up back towards the 0.5 line. But I also wouldn't be surprised if this thing tries to fight it and go back down towards -1 degree. That is to be determined, but things I have been looking for, once again, is it a central base La Nina, where the coolest part of the waters is in the central part, western part, or eastern part? Right now, it's definitely not the eastern part, so it's definitely one or the other between the western or central part of our La Nina. Finally, I went back and looked at all these La Nina years that we had, right? Anywhere from 1904 to 2022, to see if any of these had a similarities to them, whether it was a western based La Nina, a central based La Nina, or that they had a La Nina that year that started warming in the east. All of these had some similarities, but one that matched the Pacific as a whole too, not just based on La Nina, was 2020 into 2021. Now you may be asking, what happened that year in 2020 into 2021, at least in New York City? The reason why I'm doing New York City is because it's one of the biggest capitals on the eastern coast. Obviously there is tons and tons of big capitals, but I just wanted to choose New York City as a location because it's very easy to access the information as well. New York City had a wonderful year. Not just New York City, I specifically remember the whole eastern coast had a wonderful year. Started out fast with almost 12 inches of snow in December, cooled off in January, but had an explosive finish in February with 26 inches of snow. That's incredible for New York City. The reason why I say 2020 into 2021 was a great analog year was because you did have a warm northern Pacific. I'll get into this in a little bit. And you also had a central and western based La Nina that had some erosion in eastern part of its La Nina. You can see the bulk of the cold is right over here. Yes, it spewed out a little bit into towards Baja California, but didn't really make it, and also had a southern fetch of cold water. Also note that off the coast of Australia back into India, I know you can't see India on the screen, but when I was looking at it before, it had a warm pool as well. And this area, I'll go show you why this is interesting to me as of right now. If we go back to our current map and switch to the 7-day trend, notice how much cooling is going off in the western Pacific and almost northern Pacific. You know what year had a great western cooling and cooling towards Alaska? You guessed it, 2020 into 2021. Now, I'm not saying this is going to continue, but if this were to occur and the 7-day trends do continue, especially with this warming off by South America like this, then we are in for a very nice winter. But then again, guys, we got to keep our emotions in check. It is September 24th. Anything could change. Just recently, this stuff started cooling off in the western and northern Pacific here. Northern, eastern, and western. This was all on fire a couple of days ago, and now it's starting to cool off due to our troughing out west here, and then ridge here, and then troughing out by Japan, Korea, Russia, and China. This is something definitely to monitor, and if this were to continue, then we may have a great winter on our hands. But till then, we have to keep our emotions in check. We have to watch this every day, and then if this stands till mid to late November, then that's when we can start to get excited about this. Remember, you can have great winter setup. You could have blocking all up into here on the west coast and Alaska. You could have blocking up here, forcing cold air down into the eastern part of the U.S. It's just a matter if everything aligns here. If you don't got a precip feed from your subtropical jet, you probably ain't getting a storm. You're going to be cold and dry. So it's a lot more stuff that goes into predicting weather than just based off the past analogs and the current sea surface temperature maps. You have to get everything to line up perfectly. Whether it's vorticities to line up perfectly. One's positive over here, and negative. If that happens, you're just going to have two pieces of your storm not phase and go out to sea. If you get two negative vorticities over here, but it's too far west, the negative vorticities, it's going to be going inland and causing rain all on the eastern coast. So there is a lot of stuff that goes into this. If you think predicting a winter forecast is hard, just wait till you see a winter storm coming this winter. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. I'll keep you updated throughout winter, and hopefully we will have a great winter because the East is definitely due for one, and I hope everyone has a wonderful day.